Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the last session. I think on this particular bot. I think this is clearly going to be the last one. What I do want to have is about 40 minutes maybe to mop up some of the stuff. My camera is a bit dirty, sorry. To mop up some of the stuff that I've been working on, or that we have been working on, and hopefully kind of wrap up the build. If you remember, what we've been creating is a restaurant chatbot, and there's a high chance that you've been watching these videos or attending these live sessions one after the other, so you probably know where we are. But really what we did last week was we created some more FAQs. We imported some files into the bot to help download the menu and things like that. And then we ended up with training the bot, which I think is a very, very important part of any kind of chatbot building sequence. What I want to do this week is basically mop up the bot by going through somewhat quickly, maybe 10 minutes each, across four kind of things that I'd like to do if this was a real bot that went really live somewhere in the world on a website or anything like that. These are the four things that I would really do. So just to recap, we've built a couple of conversations. We've built about 10, 15 FAQs. We imported knowledge bases. We've done small talk a little bit. We've done all that sort of stuff. The kind of the things that we haven't done, which we're not going to do in this session, and therefore is not going to really come into play within this restaurant bot, but we have done in previous lessons, so you can always go back, is integrations. So we haven't really messed around with integrations. I think my thinking around that was that I don't think that it's really necessarily needed for a restaurant, depending on what kind of tools you use internally. It obviously, if you do use some sort of table booking tool that you've built yourselves, you'll definitely need this. Or if you need any other kind of maybe lead nurturing tools, like if you'd like to ask people for their email address and potentially send them some promo and stuff like that, then yes, definitely you'll need all of that. But I think the bot that I wanted to build for this particular use case was a very, very simple bot that would just answer some questions about the menu, allow people to book a table through a little widget, and that's pretty much it. Or actually allow people to actually book a table as well through a simple conversation. So widget and conversation, which we've done both. If you want to go through and learn about integrations, I did a really good lesson on that in the lead gen bot, where we integrated Airtable as part of the bot. I'm getting some messages as usual, so I'm going to click check, make sure that my microphone is doing okay. All right, kind of quiet. I'm quite quiet because my microphone is always somewhat far away. For some reason, my microphone picks up my voice really loudly if I bring it any closer. So hopefully you can just turn up the volume a little bit and you can hear me properly. All right, so we're not going to go through integrations. What else did we not go through? Are we not going to go through? I guess it's pretty much everything. I think what we'll do today is we'll go through four things. Like I said, we'll go through channels, we'll go through live chat, we'll go through languages, and we'll go through metrics. No particular order. I just think that those four things are quite important for us to go through as we wrap up. So let's start with the first one. So channels. The user platform allows you to basically create one bot and not only just deploy it on what you would call, your website. So for instance, on the ubisend website, we have our bot here, which sits here in the bottom right of the corner of the page, and it's a nice little chat widget to which we can go and talk. So most chatbot platforms will allow you to do something similar to this, which is good. But what we do have at ubisend is we actually provide more channels. And so as you create one bot, you can not only just deploy it, as in making it live onto, let's say, your website in the same way that we just seen with the ubisend website, but you can also do it on other messaging channels or even in different ways within your website. So I think we're going to have a quick look at that, because I think as a restaurant, what I would want to have is potentially an embedded chatbot, potentially a full-page chatbot. I would definitely want to have it on Facebook Messenger, although we're not going to integrate that, which I'll get back to in a minute. Okay, so if I go into engage channels within the platform, what I can see is all of the channels that ubisend has accessible. At the top of the page here, I have 7 channels that are at the top of the page because they're super easy to integrate. If I wanted to integrate Facebook Messenger here, I click options, I connect to my personal Facebook page, on which I'm an admin of company pages, and I could connect that super easily and I'm done. The reason I'm not going to do this, even though I think it would be a really, really good use case for a restaurant, is because it would actually connect to my private Facebook page, which I'm not necessarily keen on having live on YouTube, as you can probably imagine. So what we've done before is we've integrated Telegram before, again in a previous lesson, so go and have a look at it if you'd like, really insightful stuff. What I want to do today is, I think as a restaurant, what I'll probably end up having is a website on which I have a widget and potentially an embedded chatbot. So what's the difference between a Converse widget and an embedded chatbot? Well, they both live on websites, so that's very important. We have 3 website channels. We have Converse, we have embedded, and we have full page. So all 3 live on your website and not on a external mobile messaging channel like Facebook Messenger or anything like that. So that's one thing. The second thing is the differences between these 3. So Converse is this little widget that sits in the bottom right of the corner of the page here. So nice and easy. What does the embedded look like? Well, the embedded looks like this. It's basically the same bot, but it lives within what we call an iframe. So if you look at the code here that we need to use to put it on our website, as you can see, it starts with iframe and it ends with iframe. And that basically tells me, or that basically tells the website on which you're placing the bot, that the bot will be contained within this iframe. So that allows the bot to basically take whatever space the iframe allows it to have. So let's say on my website here on ubisend.com, I have several images here, and let's say I wanted this image to be replaced by my bot. All I can do is just remove this kind of image, replace it with this iframe, and the bot will take exactly the space that's available here in this kind of square here, or this rectangle. So this is really good. It allows me to put a website on my a chatbot on my website as part of the content, which is really cool. So that's the embedded. The next one is the full page chatbot. So the full page chatbot, pretty simple. It takes the entire page it takes the entire real estate of the page. So we've been talking about the full page chatbot a little bit recently. As you can see, it's not activated yet, so it's not going to do anything. But it takes the entire screen it takes the entire real estate of the page for it to actually for users to actually interact with it, which is really cool as well. So what I want to do is have a little think about what my chatbot should look like and how I would like it to be engaged with on the website, and then we'll basically activate those. So, all right. So I think as a restaurant, I probably would want to have a widget website. I would want to have a widget chatbot. So Converse, I think, is really good. I want it to be in the bottom corner of my screen. Now, what we've done at the very start of these sessions is design this bot. So we did gathered this white background, green text, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go and have a quick look at this. So this is the white, I guess. Text color, yeah, that's fine. Or is that the green? I don't know. Let's have a look. And then we did. I'll just add this here. And then we did messages. Yeah, okay. So this is the green, I guess. Send message green, and then receive message. We have this kind of off green a little bit, which I'm going to also put here. Okay, and the rest was white and pretty much nothing else. All right, cool. So what I want to do, and also we obviously called it Callanta-bot, but we're not displaying it, although we could. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go back to my channels here and kind of decide, all right, do I want an embedded chatbot as well on my page? I think it's quite nice as a contact page, so you can have your contact page with like your phone number, etc., but also your chatbot there. And so what I might do is I go in here and I might design this as well. So basically you can design each chatbot, although they're all from the same platform, they all have the exact same experience, the ones that you've created here. They are using obviously the same kind of things in the background, but you can actually design each of them separately. So here within the colors, I could do, this as a starting color, this as the ending color. Make it slightly different. Restaurant Chatbot. Maybe I'll do it the other way around. So it probably looks a little bit nicer. All right, cool. And then for the message settings, I'm gonna go and say send messages, receive messages, send message background color. Not that one. We want to do the 800 one. Perfect. And then received, we're gonna do this one, which is the kind of the light gray. Okay, so as you can see, I can basically save this. I can add the avatars as well, which I've done for the widget, so might as well add it for this one as well. Okay, and so now we've basically designed two different bots. It's going to be the exact same experience on both. They're going to go through the same conversations, the same FAQs, etc., but the design is slightly different. Now, I think to wrap this one up, I don't think I would use the full page chatbot as a restaurant, just because I feel like a restaurant's website should be kind of simple and yeah, it's just kind of a personal opinion. But obviously you can do whatever you want. So I can activate the embedded chatbot here as well, actually. All right, and then the full page I'll do the same. So I'll go into the options, and as you can see, it's all purple, ubisend purple, which is not good. We don't want that. So what do we want to do? Do we want to add a logo? Probably not. Do we want to add the gradients? Yes. So let's just do, this is the light green. I think what I might do is I might add this, and then what if I do this? No, that's not good. So let's do this one. Oops. Ooh, that looks good. All right, cool. So this is our green kind of full page bot. Settings, I don't need to do any of that. I can save that. You can go and have a quick look at what this looks like. Again, it's not activated, so it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna respond to me. But the color is quite nice. It's on brand with what I want to do with this kind of restaurant chatbot. So that's pretty much perfect. That's what I need. Okay, so I think in terms of other channels, Facebook Messenger would be a really good one to go through. But again, I'm not going to do that. I think Instagram would be a really good one, which we're going to bring up in a couple of weeks. So kind of a teaser here, but we're going to bring Instagram Messenger as a channel, which is going to be really, really cool. I'm really excited about that. But so for now, I think Converse, Embedded, and Full Page will be really good. All I need to do to actually set those up would be to go into the options on each of them, grab the little script, give it to my developer if I don't know what I'm doing, or put it into my website if I know what I'm doing. Super simple, and you're done there. Obviously, as usual, feel free to go and have a look at our documentation here to learn how to do this. So add a full page chatbot to your website here. For instance, you have the entire kind of rundown on how to do this, which is super simple. Okay, so that's kind of little thing number one crossed out. Next thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about live chat. I wasn't going to, and then I kind of thought, well, during the day, now obviously I have very limited knowledge of what restaurants actually do, but during the day, it is my understanding that obviously the kitchen at the restaurant is very busy during the day, you know, purchasing the items and the producers and stuff and preparing the menu, etc. The staff might be a little bit busy setting up the tables and cleaning, etc. But at some point, there's kind of a bit of a lull there where some staff might be behind the bar, kind of cleaning the glasses and things like that, and not really doing nothing, but they could potentially use that time to kind of monitor a live chat interaction. And so live chat would really be good for a restaurant. I think some people do like to speak to someone. It's always something that you need to consider. I do like to call a restaurant when I have a really, really specific question. And actually, I don't like to call anyone. So if there was a live chat available, I'd definitely go for that. And so because ubisend platform has live chat embedded within the platform, I think it's obviously worth having a little look at that if you wanted to. So let's go and have a little look at the feature. So within the service section, which contains feedback, ticketing, and live chat, feedback being a feature that allows your chatbot users to give feedback on their experience with a chatbot. So that's one. Ticketing is obviously a ticketing system, which I think is probably too advanced for a restaurant. You probably don't want to go down that route, but you do have live chat that we can go and have a look at. So live chat. Obviously, everyone knows what live chat does. It allows people to talk to you or to your staff in real time. So what you can do here is a few things. So you can, if you go into the live chat settings, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Like you can activate live chat first of all, which is obviously probably the first thing you want to do. You can turn on follow-ups as well. So follow-ups is basically saying, you know, you've had an interaction, or a user has had an interaction with the bot, with the live chat agent, and then the interaction is over. We close the interaction, we close the connection between the user and the live chat agent, and the bot takes over again, which is very important. I'll get back to that. The bot takes over again, and the bot will say, you know, how was your experience with us today, or something like that. So getting some sort of feedback from the user about their live chat experience, which is really good if you have a lot of staff, if you have now might be going a little bit further than kind of the normal average restaurant here. But if you have a lot of support staff taking over these live chats, then this is an opportunity for you to learn who is performing, who's getting some potentially negative feedback, etc., etc. So I'm not going to turn this on for now. And then obviously we can turn on live chat opening hours. So I would say maybe as a restaurant, so you might want to do, from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock every day. Might actually close it on Monday because restaurants work all the time, so might as well give them a little bit of a break. And I'm going to do 1800 here, because once service starts, you don't have time to mess around with all of this. All right, cool. Save this. Okay, so the live chat is successfully activated. So now what happens here? If you remember last week, I think, or a week back, we looked at the fallback, which is basically saying, if when users talk to the bot is going to obviously try its best to understand what the user is saying, and if in the event that the bot doesn't understand what the user is saying, it's going to basically say, ask the user to repeat or rephrase their sentence a few times. So you can obviously monitor that or change that to however many times you'd like. By default, we set this up as 3. So it's going to receive a message, not understand it, say to the user, sorry, I don't understand, could you rephrase? So there's a message here, sorry, I didn't understand, could you rephrase? Then the user is going to send another message and the bot still doesn't understand, so it's going to ask the same thing, could you rephrase? And then on the third attempt, if it still doesn't understand, it's going to say, sorry, it looks as though I'm having issues, would you like help from a human? Now, this is an interesting thing because fallback could be one of 3 things. You could do an email fallback, which is basically saying, we're going to grab all of your details, package it all up to inside an email and send it to our customer service rep. Or we could have a live chat fallback. So we're going to, as soon as you say that you want help from a human, we're going to open up a ticket and someone will come up to talk to you. Or finally, we could just use the ticketing system itself. So that's all, again, collecting the information, but instead of sending it into an email, we're going to store it into the ticketing system. So let's go and have a quick look at this. So this is the embedded bot, so I'm going to turn this off. So let's think of a question. What Star Wars movie is best? Let's see what happens. Okay, we didn't understand. Star Wars movie is best. Didn't understand the second time. So if everything's set up properly, it should now ask if I want help from a human. Yes. Okay, so now it's falling back to the email fallback. So that means that within the builder, what we've set up is an email fallback, which is probably a decision I made at the start of building this bot. So obviously here we have fallback to live chat here, which we could turn on and basically turn on live chat ourselves. We're not going to do that for now because I think it's enough to just know that the feature is there. What we would have to do basically is go into this conversation, have a quick look at the confidence scores, and then just basically kick off live chat that way. So if you need to turn on live chat, go into live chat, turn this live chat settings on, turn on the various times of the day. Okay, so that's probably what happened here. So we had actually set this up wrong. I think I actually set this up as 4 o'clock in the afternoon, didn't I? So let me have a look. Let's try this again. Maybe that was wrong. I haven't had a look at the way the conversation is set up in the backend today, which is probably a bad idea. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, I had set this up as 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which obviously it's not just yet. So now it's basically asking me if I want to speak to a live agent, which is good because I changed the opening hours to 2 o'clock. To 9 o'clock in the morning. So it is 1:20 now. So yeah, I would like to speak to an agent. So now it says one of our agents will be there shortly. I'll keep this page open and I'll hop into the live chat area within the platform. Should be able to see that now I have a live chat, pending live chat here. So it's also alerting me here at the top, as you can see, it flashes live chat new request. So I can do one of 3 things. I can claim it, I can view the ticket, or I can just remove it. So obviously I'm going to claim it. So at the moment, me as the user, I'm still waiting for someone to join. So if I hit claim here, now I've claimed the ticket, I'm inside the conversation, and as you can see, it should say Alex DeBecker has joined the chat, perfect, and then we can go and have a conversation here. Eventually mark it as done, resolved, delete the request, etc., etc. It's still loading because because I'm streaming, it's taking ages to load things. So, all right, but you understand kind of the interaction here. The user kind of interacts with the live chat agent. The live chat agent interacts with the user, and once you're done. You can mark it as resolved. Okay. So let's have a look at the third thing that I wanted to discuss today, and that is live chat or metrics. Languages or metrics. Which one should I do? I guess we can go through languages. So I had kind of a bit of a brainstorm about this earlier, because I knew this was going to be the last session. And so I wanted to think of all of the things that we didn't really think about or talk about so far, which might be valuable for a restaurant. And like I said, some of the stuff not super important, like integrations. I don't think it's incredibly important. Users, I don't think it's incredibly important. You probably won't even have more than one user into the platform. What else? Variables, we've talked about that. Payments could actually be quite a good one. But it's very difficult for me to show you how this works without actually setting up payment processes, which obviously we're not going to do. But here I could basically set up a whole payment process within the bot that would maybe, let's say, take a deposit on booking a table, for instance, or order takeaway food. All I'd have to do is go into the global pay settings, set up all of my global pay, merchant IDs, etc., etc., etc. And then, within the conversation, bring up this little card, this little message that allows people to pay through it. But I'm not going to go through that because, again, I need to have all of this information, which I don't. And even if I did, it would probably be private information that I probably wouldn't want to share on stream again. So we're not going to go through that, but it's interesting to know that it's there. So the kind of the thing that I landed on randomly is languages. And I think it's an interesting one because I was thinking of this bot, and as you know, we kind of built this bot as a Thai food bot, if I remember correctly. And if you scroll through this kind of list of languages that we have available within the ubisend platform, we have all sorts of things available. So we have Chinese, we have some languages that I don't even know about, French, which would be good, Finnish, Irish, blah blah blah, all the way down to Thai and Welsh and Ukrainian, etc., etc. And it kind of made me think that when you go to some specific restaurants, like in Norwich, where I live, there's a really good French restaurant, and I know the cook. There's only 2 people at this restaurant. I know the cook is French himself, and his wife works the bar. She's British, but they both speak French. And you go to a French restaurant, maybe you're visiting Norwich and you're French yourself, or I speak French because I come from Belgium. Sometimes my point is that as a restaurant, sometimes the cuisine of the restaurant and the language that's associated to where this cuisine comes from, most of the time the staff will kind of speak it, particularly if you go to small restaurants. So in the instance of a Thai restaurant, for instance, it's very likely that the people who you call or who you speak to probably is a Thai person. And so it'd be cool for you to, if you had a bot on your website as a restaurant, it'd be cool for you to also have your bot work in that specific language. And so what you could do within the ubisend platform is actually create your entire chatbot, restaurant chatbot, and deploy it as an English, but also whatever other language that you like, chatbot. Cool, so all this to say that basically you can go into settings, languages here, and then you can see all this list of languages. At the very top here, I have 3 languages that I can super easily turn on or activate, German, English, and Dutch. And then obviously I've scrolled through this already a couple of times, but as you can see, there's about 50 or 60 total languages that I could actually activate. So what would happen if I did activate one of them? Basically, what would happen is the bot would, from that point on, be able to take on messages in both languages at the same time. So what would typically happen is if I activate this German language, for instance, the bot doesn't translate the messages itself, but you would basically go back into your builder or your FAQs, and you would go in here. Let's say the questions on this specific question. Can you send me the menu? What is your menu? Can I see the menu, etc. As you can see here, there's a little drop down in the top right here, which says English. And if I had activated German, which I'm not going to go to because I don't speak German, unfortunately, so it wouldn't be very helpful. But I would have another option here, which would be German. And if I switch it to German, what I would have to go through is basically recreate recreate every single piece of content into that other language. So same thing here, if we were to activate Thai as a language, for instance, we'd go through the same process, obviously. And then finally, I would go through the answers, and same thing, there's a little drop down here, switch from English to German or Thai or whatever, write the answers, save, and I'm done. So that's the first thing you'd have to do. You'd have to go through every single piece of content from your bot and change its language. Now, obviously, because you activate that other language, what the bot actually does is it brings in these this new languages NLP model, so that it can understand, again, same way as with English, can understand not only the things that you're programming it to understand, but also various little NLP powered kind of variations of the same sentences in these different languages. So very important. The second thing I would have to do is I would have to most likely, you don't have to do it this way, but I would have to most likely edit this welcome conversation here, which we've worked on quite a bit, well, a little bit. I'd have to edit this to basically include a question about which language would you like to use. Because it's probably worth setting the user's language within the bot very, very early on. We'd want to know, do you want to speak Thai or English with us? And if the person says Thai, we mark that user specifically in the back end of the platform using what we call actions as, you know, set the language, set the subscriber's language as Thai or as English or as French or blah, blah, blah. And then from that point forward, the bot will only speak to that user in that language, which is really, really cool. So it's going to pick up, you know, the FAQs, it's going to pick up the conversations, it's going to pick up everything up and do it in the language that the user is comfortable with. So I kind of thought this was a kind of fun one to bring up in this kind of last episode, because yeah, I think it just works quite well with restaurants. I think restaurants tend to be multilingual, and it would make a really, really, really nice user experience for people actually speaking to the bot. Okay, what else? Well, the last one that I have is talking through metrics. And again, this is one that we went through a couple of times in previous lessons, but it's quite likely that you're just watching this one and not the previous one. So it's worth me going back through that. There are quite a few things to talk about metrics-wise. So I guess the best place to start is to kind of think about metrics as obviously the thing that allows you to know whether or not your chatbot is performing. So whether you're building this chatbot for yourself or you're a ubisend partner and you're building this chatbot for one of your customers or your clients, it's worth knowing or being able to communicate with your client whether or not your chatbot is performing and doing the thing that it's supposed to do. And obviously that's true for any kind of tools online or any kind of marketing thing or any kind of sales tools or customer service tools or anything like that. The thing with ubisend is we, as you know from watching these episodes, we like to be super flexible. We like to give as much flexibility to our users as possible. And one of the ways we differentiate ourselves through that is by offering as much flexibility across the kind of the dashboard and the performance reviewing tools as possible. And as you can see here, I just went into the dashboard of this account, which we've never clicked into that link so far in these lessons. And as you can see, there's nothing. You do not currently have any metrics selected. Click edit to get started. So this kind of sets us apart a little bit just from this view, because it means that by default, you're not displaying anything. We're not telling you what you should be tracking because we don't know about your business or your client's business. So let's have a quick look at this edit button. Okay, so I clicked edit and we have this nice little bar at the bottom here, which allows me to click view metrics. And in here, we have a nice long kind of list of metrics that are available. As you can see, we have metrics like small talk triggered, total subscribers, total messages, subscribers per location, helpful FAQs. When you click the little, was this helpful? Yes, no, this goes increases. Feedback responses, average live chat queue time, very important if you have live chat activated. Top links created, top conversations triggered, etc., etc. So all of those are valuable metrics to have a look at. So let's have a look at the kind of the typical vanity metrics that surround your chatbot's usage. So total subscribers, always interesting to have a look at. total messages, obviously. A line graph of interactions could be nice. We'll go back to that in a minute. What else? Average interactions, I think is quite nice. We can discuss what that is. FAQs triggered, I think we can add that. Helpful FAQs and not helpful FAQs, I quite like that. And then because we've activated live chat, I think we should do average live chat resolution time. I think that's always good. And then I'm going to do, that's probably it, isn't it? I mean, we have a whole bunch of metrics here, so we have a whole bunch of stuff here that we can use. So we've added all of those. I'm going to move those around down here. So as you can see, I can create my own dashboard. I can mess around with these to kind of make sure that they're organized in the way that I want them to be organized. Very important to us as well that you are completely comfortable in the way that your dashboard is presented. Make it super actionable for yourself, for your business, for your boss, whoever needs to have a look at it. Okay, so I think I'm going to move this to total messages here, total subscribers here, average interactions, that's good, FAQs triggered, that's good, and then I'm going to move that down here because that's live chat and all of this is basically chatbot related. Okay, cool. So I can save that. So obviously this is a pretend chatbot, this isn't live anywhere, so no one actually manages to obviously speak to this bot. You could actually speak to the bot if you wanted to. I can give you the public URL here. I'm dropping that into the chat if you want to go and have a quick chat with the bot. Okay, so what we've done here is we've obviously used how many? 7, 8 metrics and built a dashboard around it, and this gives us quite good information about the usage of the bot. This interactions graph, for instance, is going to eventually tell us at what time of the day the bot is most popular or most busy. Very good information, particularly as a restaurant. You want to know what time your customers are more likely to kind of try and engage with you, to book a table and things like that. Or you want to know, maybe between 8 and 9 o'clock, everyone's super quiet, so that might be the right time to, start a second service or something like that. Whatever kind of information you want to pull out of that. Total messages, typical vanity metric. So it's not super insightful, but it is a kind of a starting metric to know how much, how useful your bot is, or how many people talk to it, etc., etc. Total subscribers, that's the total number of people who are actually talking to your bot. Average interactions, that's the length of the average length of interactions that people have with your bot. So do people tend to go back and forth with your bot in like 17 messages or 2 messages? This kind of tells you a lot about how people use your bot. 17 messages might mean that people are really engaged with it. Also, it might mean that people are not getting the kind of answers they were hoping for. Very short messages might mean that people kind of dip in and out super quickly and they get their information really quickly. So that's really cool information to know. FAQs triggered, how many FAQs are being triggered by your bot? Very good to know about as well. If there aren't that many FAQs being triggered, might mean that you need to work a little bit more on your FAQs. Helpful FAQs and not helpful FAQs, obviously we kind of discussed before this fallback feature that allows you to say, was this helpful, yes or not? When people hit yes, it increases this metric by 1. If people hit no, it increases this metric by 1. Obviously pretty simple stuff. And then finally, average live chat resolution time, pretty self-explanatory, but that's in minutes, kind of how long it takes for someone on your team to pick up the ticket and resolve it, and you'd want this to be obviously as small as possible. Okay, so this is a nice set of metrics, and there's a lot we can learn from this, but it's not the best. It's missing something that's really, really interesting to me and really, really important to me and to us as a company, and that is customizability. As a restaurant, what I'd like to know is how many people have booked a table through this bot. That's what I really care about. That's what I as the boss care about. That's what I as the person building the bot care about, to make sure that I can show to my boss that my work has been producing stuff. That's what I, as the ubisend partner building this bot on the restaurant's behalf, really care about, so I can justify the big payday that I'm getting through this. So I want to know how many people have actually booked a table. That's pretty simple stuff. But if we go back to the edit button here and we view the metrics, there's nothing here that says, tables booked at a Thai restaurant. I mean, why would there be? That'd be silly. ubisend can't think of all of the metrics that need to be that a business might want to have. So instead, what we've done is something a little bit cleverer. which is basically to allow you to create your own metrics. So if I go into Analyze here and I go into Custom Metrics, and as you can see, there's nothing here again. But we are in what's called Custom Metrics, which obviously, as its name implies, will allow you to create your own metrics. Very, very important. Allows you to track exactly what you want to track. And so if I hit Create here in the top right, I can create my own metrics. So for this one, I'm going to say tables booked. Okay, save that. Maybe I'm going to create one booking process started. So I have 2 metrics here. What else do I want to do? It's probably enough for now. So tables booked is obviously very self-explanatory. That's the metric that's going to track how many tables have been booked through the bot. Very good. Pretty much directly related to revenue, so that's perfect. Booking process started is kind of a different approach to this, and I think it's an interesting one to think about when you build bots. This is a metric we're going to track at the very start of the table booking process. This will basically allow us to say 100 people have started the booking process, and 27 people have actually finished by booking a table. And with these two, we know what the conversion rate of this conversation is. So again, if you're a partner and you're building this for a customer, this is the kind of stuff that you need to bring up to your customers all the time, and this is the kind of stuff that you need to be aware of as you're building bots. Because tables booked doesn't necessarily say the whole picture. There might have been 10,000 people trying to talk to your bot, but only 2 people booked a table. Well, you're obviously losing potential revenue there. Excuse me. I get really excited and I talk too much, and then I just dry up. Okay, so we have 2 new metrics. So what do we want to do with this? Well, we've created them, but they don't do anything at the moment. They're just created kind of in the ether of the platform. So what we want to do is we obviously want to tie them to specific steps in conversations. So if we go back to the builder here, and we have a booking a table conversation, which we've obviously been building together. So let's go and have a look at that. So okay, so this conversation starts with the trigger, which is book table. Fine, we kind of work through that. And then it goes through these 2 steps, booking a table here, booking a table there. Now, this is an interesting one because on the left-hand side here, people could actually view this little, if you remember, we put a little widget, open table widget. People could actually view the open table widget and not interact with it, and therefore not book a table. So we don't really know. But on the right-hand side here, we do know that they're going to book a table because they've asked for a date, they've asked for a callback, they've asked for all sorts of information. They've actually pretty much given us all of the information we need to make sure that they are getting their tables booked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that left-hand side alone. I think if we wanted to go through and measure that, it would be quite easy because we would have the open table metrics on open tables. If you really wanted to go quite deep into this, you could actually pull those metrics into your dashboard as well. So that could be something to do, but it would be too complex for us to go through in the next 5 minutes. So let's kind of leave that aside for now. So what I want to do is, at the start of the conversation, I want to track how many people go at the top, because that's really important to me. I want to know how many people are getting in there. So let's say I'm going to delete this one. Oops. Okay, so we have a book a table, which is the trigger at the top. Again, I'm not going to go through that again. But what I can do is I can add a metric here. Add metric, track metric, booking process started. And then when I save this, moving forward, as soon as someone enters this conversation, the very first step, before they even receive this message, we're going to increase that booking table, I forgot the name of the metric now, but we're going to increase that metric by 1, telling us, okay, all of these people have started. They got this first message. And then obviously, the next thing I want to know is how many people have actually booked out of all this. So if again, we're going to leave the left-hand side of the column here alone for now. So let's go through the right-hand side. So we go through all of this question. And then finally at the end, someone is going to send their phone number. And that's the kind of the last step before someone actually says thank you. If you remember from lesson 1 or 2, most of the things that we do that are due to tracking, like variables and metrics, are done in transitions, which means that we need to track those going from one step to the next. So we can't actually add that metric at the last step. We need to add that metric at the previous to last step because there needs to be this transition to this thank you message. So super simple: options, transitions, Same thing, add a metric, track metric, tables booked, save. Okay, so now we're doing two things. We're tracking at the very top, and then we're tracking at the very bottom. So that gives us three really good metrics. So it gives us the total number of subscribers. That's the total number of people who have used your bot, 1,000 people. And then it gives us the total number of people who have started the conversation to book a table, 100 people. So that's a 10% conversion rate. And then it gives us the total number of people who have actually booked a table, 5 people. So that's a 5% conversion rate on that one. So I'm not going to do the math, but you can imagine 10, 5, etc., etc. So 0.2% conversion rate or something like that. And this is super important information. So what I can do now is, obviously we have these metrics, we want to display them. We don't just want to track them, we actually want to be able to see them on our dashboard. So what I do is I click Edit, View Metrics. And as you can see, the two top metrics here are the two ones that I just created. So anything that you create, any new metrics that you create will go at the top of this list. Super easy to use. And I can just hit Add. Add. Perfect, they're both here. What I might want to do is I might want to actually move those up, if I can. Here we go. Booking process started. I'm going to move this here. The reason I'm moving those up, I went through quite a kind of great length into doing that in another session. But what I'm basically doing here is I'm putting the outcome at the top and the behavior below, and then the acquisition even below that. So outcome here as a restaurant booking, table booking chatbot, obviously the outcome is tables being booked. So as I log into my dashboard, the very first thing I want to see is how many tables did we book today? How many people actually tried to do that? And how many people have been talking to the bot? So I can quickly do 1,000, 100, 5, okay, not bad. 1,000, 100, 0, bad. 1,000, 600, 595, good, but I probably need to increase my restaurant capacity. So this is kind of this OBA framework that I've talked about before. You can find that in another lesson. And this is really good. So basically, I've gone through the 4 things that I wanted to go through for this part. So we went through channels. We've activated the Converse, the embedded, and the live chat. The full page channels. We went through live chat. We've activated that. We give it a little test to show how it works in the background. We went through languages. We didn't activate the language because I don't speak the languages that we could activate. But we kind of went through what this could do for a restaurant chatbot. And then finally, we went through metrics, which we created new metrics, tied them up to the conversation builder, and then added them to a nice and neat dashboard that will be really, really helpful for our bosses or our clients. And this kind of wraps up this restaurant chatbot. I hope that it was nice and insightful. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of things that we didn't touch on. Like I said at the start, there's a whole bunch of features within ubisend, and even the features that we used, you can go really, really deep. So I think for what we wanted to build, we kind of managed to get there. If you want to go through something a bit deeper, if you want to have more in-depth questions with someone from our team, obviously feel free to talk to us. Go to ubisend.com. You can always hit the little purple button here in the top right to get a demo, talk to an expert. Someone will be in touch with you and be more than happy to help you out. And hopefully I'll see you next week. I think we're going to start, we're going to start a new bot next week. Not quite sure if we've decided on one yet. We have an idea, but I need to discuss it with Jacob, my colleague, who might actually take over this next build for me, which would be a nice change of pace for you, hopefully. And yeah, thank you all for attending or watching later on, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.